Episode 350. Is Meta using AI responsibly?
The primitive forms of artificial intelligence we already have proved very useful.
AI is a golden opportunity.
How do we ensure that this technology is regulated?
The long arc of technological history is now in an extraordinary new phase.
The AI6 podcast with Joanne Sweeney.
Last week, I asked a Meta VP a simple yes or no question at the University of Galway AI Summit. Is Meta prepared to comply with the EU AI Act when regulations come into force in August 2026, particularly for high-risk AI uses? The answer I got was not yes or no. It was, we take it very seriously. We received a 4-hour briefing yesterday on the EU AI Act, and we are preparing our readiness. That same week, 2 juries in the United States found Meta had knowingly designed its platform to harm children. And 2 days after that, Meta published an AI model that can predict how your brain responds to content before you have even seen it. Hello and welcome back to AI6. I'm Joanne Sweeney. And this week I have been asking one question. Is Meta using AI responsibly? So let's get into it. So when I asked that question of the Meta VP at the University of Galway AI Summit in an institution whose tagline is for the public good, which was the context for my question, I was honestly disappointed with the answer. I understand that she cannot answer for the entire company, and because it had a legalistic framing because it was around the EU AI Act, I understand that maybe she felt she didn't have the weight or the responsibility to answer yes or no. But a non-committal on whether they are going to comply with the EU AI Act when all of the rest of us have to or are intending to just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. However, I cannot say either way whether they will or they won't because the question was not answered in that way. So we will just have to wait and see. But August 2026 is just a matter of months away. And of course, we all have to comply with the EU AI Act. Otherwise, we face fines and, reputation damage. But Meta did have reputation damage in the same week I was at that summit. On the 24th of March, a jury in New Mexico found Meta had knowingly designed its platforms to harm children. The company was ordered to pay $375 million in damages, and the jury found Meta had willfully engaged in unfair and deceptive trade practices that endangered young users. A day later, a Los Angeles jury delivered a second blow. Meta and Google's YouTube were found liable for the mental health damage caused to a 20-year-old woman identified only as Kaylee, who began using YouTube at 6 and Instagram at 9. The jury awarded $6 million in damages and Meta liable for 70%. Kaylee's lawyers argued that features like infinite scroll, autoplay, cosmetic filters, and push notifications were engineered as a slot machine for children's brains. Internal documents shown to the jury revealed Meta's own executives knew their platforms could harm and pressed on anyway. Professor Rosalind Gill of Goldsmiths University called it Big Tech's Big Tobacco moment. The moment the industry had to accept not only that their product was harmful, but they had known and tried to cover it up. Meta plans to appeal both verdicts. Around 2,000 similar cases are pending across the United States. Then comes Tribe version 2. 2 days after the New Mexico verdict on the 26th of March, Meta's AI research lab published something called Tribe version 2. The name stands for Transformer for In Silico Brain Experiments, and it was quietly released as open source. So here's what it does. Tribe version 2 is trained on more than 1,000 hours of fMRI brain scan data from more than 700 volunteers. fMRI measures brain activity by tracking blood flow and oxygen levels. Meta has used that data to build a model that simulates how a brain responds to video, audio, and text without scanning a single new person. You feed it a piece of content, it outputs a predicted map of neural activation across approximately 70,000 brain regions. That's a 70-fold improvement in resolution over the previous version. And in testing, its simulated responses were more accurate than many individual real scans. We know AI can be used for predictive analytics, and this is the goal. Meta says it's for medical research, for neuroscience, for understanding neurological conditions. The code and the model weights are publicly available under a non-commercial license. Meta keeps commercial rights to itself. But we know the business of Meta. Meta's core business is advertising. Meta's core business is data. Meta's core business product is us, its users. Its revenue depends entirely on understanding how people respond to content. It is now built in AI that predicts neural responses to that content at scale, without anyone in a scanner. The advertising industry has a name for this: neuromarketing, testing how brains respond to campaigns. It has existed for years, but it required labs and participants. Tribe version 2 removes that bottleneck entirely. Before long, a content team could upload a video and get back a neural response map. Which moments hold attention? Which trigger emotional engagement? Which create friction? Not did people like this, but did their brain respond the way we wanted it to? That is optimizing for persuasion at a level that bypasses conscious choice. I can actually see how this technology could be used in nefarious ways. For example, in political campaigns, to disrupt democracy, to persuade people into ideologies that potentially are not in their best interests. So, new capability for artificial intelligence driven by Meta's research labs, and it has to be said, probably falls under the high-risk category under the EU AI Act. When used for medical science, it's important science. Understanding how the brain processes language and images could transform medicine. But I wonder how else this amazing technology and application to neuroscience could be used. That's it for today's show. If you're ready to turn these insights into skills, here's how I can help. Get your copy of my book, AI Playbook, on Amazon. It's the perfect companion to the show. For weekly AI strategy, subscribe to my newsletter, Human in the Loop, on LinkedIn. Or if you want to take the next big step, you can take our CPD accredited professional diploma in AI. Maybe you need something more tailored for your organisation. You can book a call in my calendar at digitaltraining.ie. Or if you work in government or public sector, go over to publicsectormarketingpros.com. If you found this episode useful, please share it with a pro that you know. And I'd love to read your comments on Spotify. And if you can, take a second to like, rate, or subscribe wherever you listen. It really helps the show. This is AI6. I'll talk to you on the next episode.